Hello and welcome back to the shop. So I haven't been doing a lot of filming because mostly been doing things that aren't very much fun to film, but we have been working on the parking brakes. As you can see, we have the cables installed, and I have to say these low car ones fit a whole lot better than trying to rig up something with the Ford factory brakes, brake cables. I did that once before on a different truck and I really wasn't happy with the results. So if you're gonna run these Cadillac style disc brakes, I think the low car ones are definitely the way to go. I'll jump underneath here. And what we ended up having to do, oh, can't see. So we reused the factory swing arm here, and you can probably see the factory parking brake cable looped in there. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the hole in the right place the first time. You're not able to reuse the factory location, which is way over here to the left. And then we just welded in a piece of steel. The kit that I bought actually came with all the P-clamps, the bulkhead, the cables, the equalizer, the pins and everything. So for $130 odd, that's a pretty good deal. And we also went ahead and put in the sensor for the dash in the back of the C6 here. And I have to say, I mean, I don't know if it works yet, but if this electronic sending unit is good, that'll beat the pants off of a cable any day. Been buttoning stuff up under here. Went ahead and put in the kick down cable. That was a Speedway Motors kit. Generic C6 one. And a little bit of a story time here. I've been fighting with the oil drain here on the pan. And you can probably see it on film here. There's a bead there. When the machine shop built the motor, they told me they wanted to run an extra deep sump. And they don't really need to do that, but they said it was a good idea. And I said, okay. I said, make sure you get a rear sump because this is a truck application. And I don't think a front sump with an extra deep pan is gonna clear. Well, spoiler alert, they did not listen to me, and I was correct. A front sump extra deep pan does not clear. Now, normally, I would have just hopped online, bought a new pan, and been done with it. But there's two problems. The first is, that was at the peak of COVID, and they were out of stock. So that was a problem. The second was, every aftermarket pan, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. You just have to take my word for it. The drain plug is over there on the right next to the transmission cooler lines. And that's not going to work in a truck application. So, and I went back and looked. It did originally have a front sump pan, but, you know, it was normal depth. So we decided to cut the pan, weld it back together, cut the pickup tube, weld it back together. And we did bench test it. I had the pan full of oil, old motor oil, so it was nice and dark and black. And we had a couple of spots that we needed to touch up, and I did. And the drain plug modification was holding until I put it in the truck and got the oil hot. So there must be a micro crack, and it's at the bottom. You can't see it without pulling the motor. So before I went to the hassle of pulling the motor, and now you can get standard depth pans with the extra clearance for the stroker kit, I thought, well, we'll try the JB Weld approach, and let's see if it's actually gotten hard. Yeah, it's gotten hard. So that's good. I haven't put the oil back in it yet. If it actually holds oil, I'll probably just throw some paint on it and call it a day. I mean, it's pretty ghetto, but I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. And we also did some work up top, getting all the sending units for the digital dash in. And as you can see, come on camera, keep the screen on. We painted the rims. And we got them on the front, and let me just step back here for the visual effect. And I think they're looking pretty good. The biggest problem is I forgot to put the balance beads in the front. So, you know, you can't do the job right unless you do the job twice. Fortunately, I haven't put air in the rears yet because my local Napa only had 2 valve stems. So that's where we're at. So first thing today is going to be getting the air in the rears here, getting the rears back on the truck. I will of course remember to put the balance beads in. Then I'll have to take the fronts back off the truck, break them down, and put the balance beads in them. They only got like 25 pounds in them, and they're brand new rubber, so they should come back apart pretty easy. And from there, I guess I'll put the oil back in it and see if it's leaking anymore. It probably will be. But I'm not going to pull the motor in just yet. I'm going to run it a little bit first if that's what it comes to it. And I'll just keep an eye on the oil level. What's a classic car without a small oil leak, right? And I think hopefully then we can get it warm enough in here. I have to, I'll lower the truck down and put it back on film, but I'm going to have to do some touch-up paint in the cab, and I want to do that before I go to the trouble to put the dash in it, because it's just going to be that much more of a hassle. So that's where we're at, and we'll see how today goes. One thing I forgot to mention, and you probably could have seen it, but if you're going to run these GM style disc brakes, and this was a kit I got on Quick Performance, I think, when I bought all the stuff for the 9-inch. You're going to have to run wheel spacers if you want to use the 15-inch wheels. The kit says it'll clear with the factory 15-inch wheels. It is not right. It does not clear. Now, if you're going to a custom aftermarket wheel, you're fine. And before anybody jumps in the comments and tells me that my lug nuts are loose, there's like 1.5 inches of lug nut there. It goes all the way down into the wheel spacer. So it's got plenty of thread engagement, and there's a ton of red lock on it. The same thing's actually true in the front. I don't know if you'll be able to see it without the flashlight because it died on me while I was filming. But you actually end up having to run about a 1/4 inch spacer in the front to run the factory 15-inch wheels. Maybe I'll just film that when I pull the fronts back off here in a minute. But it does clear. It's a lot better in the front. And this is, oh, I forget the brand. I got it on Quick Performance, but it's not their house brand. The rears are their house brand. This is a different one. It came with the master cylinder and a little bit of mud there. It came with the master cylinder and everything for the conversion. So it does have a dual disc power master cylinder in it too. And I have driven it. I had some old tires on the rear. The 235 75-15s are going to clear. They're actually going to tuck in, my camera here, screen keeps turning off. They're going to tuck in pretty nice here, and they're going to really fill this wheel well in nicely. That's just mud, by the way, if you can see that little smudge on camera. I've been moving it around a little bit, and it's muddy outside. So they do clear. They set out pretty nice. You get about 1.5 fingers here of clearance. So it actually looks more stuffed than it is. If you went to a 16-inch wheel, you could run a pretty good size rear tire. But for now, I think for looks, I want to keep the factory wheels because I do have a really nice set of hubcaps for it. So, all right, that's what I forgot to say. I'll come back when the rears are on. All right, so here's the setup. These are 235 75-15s, and there are, let me get the light. Hold on, I'll be right back. Let's try that again. These are Solaris, I don't know, Solaris, I think. Allegedly made in the USA, according to Amazon, and they are the pinnacle of reliability. But they were 89 bucks a piece shipped, and I'm not going to complain about that. Went to Napa, got these nice little valve stems. There's the part number if you care. And they're the real nice metal type here. So we'll pop one in, put some air in it, we'll put the beads in it. Yeah, I can forget that a 3rd time. We'll see what it looks like here. And I'm actually going to film that because it's not rocket surgery. And hopefully we'll try that. I don't know. I've never tried to film myself before, so lots of firsts today. I want you to know, if you made it this far in the video, I turned off Juice Newton for this. Of course, this requires 3 hands and 6 feet, but we'll get it. Because you have to. Come on. Get this to help. All right, come on. No. Now, normally you would want to put the valve stems in before you assembled it. Unfortunately, oh, and I need a wrench because I have to hold it with a pair of pliers. What size are you? 9/16? As I was saying, normally you put the valve stems in first, and I am aware of that, but I wanted to get the tires on the rims before I painted them, and this just seemed like the easiest way to accomplish that goal. The jury's still out on whether it actually was, because now you have to do stuff like this to get the valve stems to tighten up. But that is exactly why I bought this type of valve stem instead of the rubber type that just push in, because I'd have had a really difficult time getting that in. Now, before you put the beads in, I want to make sure your thing is kind of stuck so they don't run out the other side. Ask me how I know. Oh, and you're probably staring into the light now. So this is what I use for tire beads. This is another Amazon purchase. I literally paid less for this whole bucket, and I don't even know how many tires this bucket does, and I've done like, I don't know, 20 tires at least with it at this point, than what you would pay to have a shop mount and balance one tire. And I've actually, you know, you read the reviews, whoops, thanks China. You read the reviews, and some people say, this is what they look like. They work, they don't work for them. And the only time I've had them not work was on a really small car tire, like a 195. 195, 60, 15 or something like that. It was a little Mazda. And they just didn't have enough oomph. But on these trucks with leaf spring suspensions or big heavy coils, especially if you're running like a mud tire, like a real aggressive tire, now these aren't that aggressive. These, because they constantly redistribute themselves, they stay balanced. So like if you pull out on the road and your lugs are full of mud, you won't have all that really heavy vibration until the mud gets out. And there goes the noisemaker. Hold on. All right, noisemaker over. I'm done fighting with the GoPro. There we go. That's better. I like that ribbon. That looked better. So you just got to get them in. I guess what I was saying. You don't want them to run out the back, because that doesn't really do much for you. You actually staying in? Seem to be. So they run in pretty easy. And then these tires inflate really easy. Just get a little bit of pressure on it and they want to take off. I don't think I even took the valve stems out the other day. Oh, there goes the beads. Hang on. All right. Let's just turn you around a little bit here. Hopefully I'm still in frame. Like I said, it did inflate pretty easy the other day. We'll get this one done, then I'll... Come on. You're making me look bad, tire. Well, that escalated quickly. I'll tell you what though, if you're gonna do tires on a cold day, them are the way to do it. But they're both on. Balance beads are in. I haven't torqued any lug nuts yet, but we'll just stand back here and we'll appreciate that it's actually got a little bit of stance now. I had some kind of oddball sized tires on the rear and it didn't quite look right, but I actually really like that. And even with the wheel spacers, there's still, you know, tons of room for activities in here. Should be able to tuck all the way up if it ever needed to. All right, Now we're gonna break down the fronts, throw some beads in them, and I think I'm finally gonna be done with tires. My least favorite activity. Well, one of anyway. Well, this is the oil that came out of it the other day. So I could drain the pan and try to make that repair. So now we're gonna see how much of it I can get back in without making a tremendous big mess all over the inner fender here. There we go, in the hole. I had it sitting there by the fire all morning here. Try to thin it out a little bit. Oh crap. It's going all over the valve cover. That's not what we want. Why are you doing that? Why you hate me? I was hoping I wouldn't have to remove this. Grommet. I was incorrect. This was the other mistake that happened to me. I'll show you here in a minute when I get done fighting with this oil. I let them talk me into a hydraulic roller conversion on the motor, and in doing so I ended up with these valve cover guides that basically completely obstruct the hole here. But the oil looked good when it came out. Didn't even look dark, so it's probably only got 10 hours on it, if it's got that much. That's just from moving the truck around in a couple of test drives and running it. I did drain the oil out of it when I got it back from the machine shop, because they'd done a break-in on the dyno. So this was good, clean motor oil that I put in it. And I put in the ZDDP additive that you can buy. It's a roller motor now, so in theory it shouldn't need it. I don't have to worry about wiping the cam out. But it's cheap protection, and there's no emissions equipment to worry about harming with all that zinc and platinum. I'm not a huge fan of the diesel oil in a gasoline solution personally. I'd rather just put the additive in gasoline oil. If you're trying to make up for low oil pressure, the difference between a 15 weight and a 10 weight is basically nothing when it's hot. The viscosities are near as the same anyway. So a lot of people have this sort of black magic idea that actually fixes something, but you're fooling yourself. Either you got oil pressure or you don't when it's hot. When it's cold, you'll have gobs of oil pressure, but that's not going to help you if you're, you know, if your bearings are bad or whatever's causing the low oil pressure. Better just to, if you care about the motor, blow it apart and find out why you don't have any oil pressure. But I guess if you're just trying to get something running, you know, you do you. It's your wallet, not mine. That's just my opinion on all these YouTubers out there running 1540 in these old cars because it's got the ZDDP in it, and it does. It has more than conventional gasoline oil, but it don't have near as much as one of those additive packs puts in it. So, trying to get the last cord out of the bucket. It's fighting me. I'm gonna have to get a screwdriver. But so anyway, my preference is if you want to run an old motor, especially if you have a flat tappet cam, just get the ZDDP. Put it in. It's like 10 bucks or something, and you'll never have to worry about it. So the next project today, it might not show up very well on camera, but the steering wheel paint was not very good. I think you can see it there. I had originally only painted the column because I thought I might change out the steering wheel for a nicer one, but I don't know, I kind of grew to like it, so I masked off a little bit here. Hopefully we can be a little bit careful. The one thing I've learned about painting is it doesn't matter how much you mask, you still didn't get enough. And then when I mix up a little bit of paint, I'm gonna touch up these bolt heads here, and these couple of brackets didn't quite get painted all the way. And there's a couple of boo-boos when we were fitting the door. I think I started setting up to spray it, but I think I'm just gonna do it by hand with a brush. If I have to throw a little bit extra hardener in it to get it to set up quickly, I will. But I did mask around them just in case the paint doesn't cooperate, and somehow I missed that one, so I probably better go ahead and do that. And it's the same thing on the other side. So it's pretty warm in the shop now. The wood stove's been running all day. I let it die down because, you know, VOCs and sparks. But I'll wind it back up again once I'm done painting, and I'll put a box fan here in the cab to pull all the smoke out. I'm only going to run my little gun. I've not ever actually used this one, but it's only got a 2.0 nozzle in it, so it should have a pretty tight spray pattern. It shouldn't dust up very much. I turned the compressor down to like 22 pounds, so for that little bit I think it's going to spray out okay. So I'm going to run some test patterns and probably just send it, and I'll bring you back here when I'm done because painting is stressful. Well, I would say I will call that a success. So that little spray gun with the 2.0 nozzle, even running full flow on the paint, really cleaned that up nice. And for the bolt heads that were ugly as all get out, I actually just used a brush and brushed it on a little thick, and they're still not perfect, but they're a lot better. Before I added the reducer, so that's just pure paint. And it seems to be cooking off okay. I went ahead and, trying to get the flashlight in here, touched up the tailgate as well. There was a lot of ugliness in there in primer, and the hinges, or the latches weren't the right color. So I went ahead and did that on both sides because I had a little bit of paint left over. So I think that's a whole lot prettier than it was. And same way over here. Cleaned up the bolt heads. Pretty good. I mean, they're not perfect. The better thing to do would have been to paint everything, but you know, spray bombing's messy. Didn't get a lot of overspray. Very, very little dust came off of it. So I think, like I said, I'm gonna call that a success. It looks great. I'll put the horn button back on. It doesn't work. It's just for show anyway. We'll let that cure for a little bit. I got the wood stove turned back up hot. So we'll bake that off for a half hour, 45 minutes here. I actually think it's, yeah, I'd say it's probably already dry to the touch. This TCP is the company here. I'll show you the line of paint if anybody cares. It's their custom shop series, 2-stage urethane. There's the brand. It's great. I mean, it's a far better product than I am a painter. That's for sure. So I've been really happy with that. Like I said, I think in my other video, this is the first time I've ever painted a vehicle, and you know, I made some mistakes. We had some boogers on the door jambs where I didn't realize the door was touching. I think they're all fixed up now, so that should take care of that. So yeah, I'm really happy. That's the last little bit of painting I had to do on it. So now we can move on to the really fun stage. And the next project here, like I said, well, I need to let that paint cure a little bit anyway. I picked this up on Amazon, I think. There's the thing. This is actually a remote mount trailer brake controller. And when I did all my wiring, I think you can probably see them here, I actually went ahead and pulled leads down for it and what I actually ended up doing here is on the fender over here, I got 3 relays right here. And the first one is a trailer brake controller master power. Then the 12 volt relay to the back of the truck for trailer battery charging, and then a fuel pump. Now the fuel pump doesn't need a 30 amp fuse. I need to change that out, but they're all key switched. So everything's tied to the key switch. So I have power, and I already double tapped the signal wire coming out of the brake switch. So we should be able to just hook it up and go. And what I think I want to do is actually, one of the other things I did off camera is put the glove box in it. This was a CJ Pony parts. It's the same kind of cardboardy material that the one that was in it was, and I think it actually looks pretty nice. So what I'm thinking about doing here is actually just mounting this, since I got plenty of wire there, right here where it'll be completely out of the way. And because it's a remote mount, which I've never done before, I should be able to put, oops, come on camera, put this piece in the dash, and then it's got this nice little finished cover. The only question I have, and I'm probably not going to address it in this video because it's already getting pretty long, is what's going to happen when I tie the 4-way in. So a lot of these old trucks, when you hit the 4-way, because of the simplistic way they're wired, it'll actually ping the brake controller and cycle the brakes on the trailer, if you have a trailer that has brakes. So I got some diodes, and I just got to we'll have to play around with the multimeter once I get the dash in it with the 4-way switch. And then if it's back feeding the trailer brake controller, I'll show you what you can do about that. But basically, you just need to put a diode in, is the short answer. Freaking birds. So we'll let that cook off for a little bit, and I'll bring you back when the trailer brake controller's done. All right, time for me to geek out a little bit here at the end of the day. I have never been a fan of aftermarket trailer brake controllers because they are so just ugly. But I showed you there in the previous clip, and you might think I put it in the glove box. That's actually a pretty common thing. But nope. I actually mounted it down here underneath. Probably should have bought the factory wiring harness connection rather than trust the Amazon comments, but I did find some pins that actually fit. And this right here is the only clue that this truck has a trailer brake controller. You turn it on and off, and you can dial it in. And I'm really happy with that. That's actually in the factory choke cable location. My carb now has an electronic choke. So I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm totally geeking out over my fancy trailer brake controller here. So that's where I'm going to end this video, I think. It's actually the end of the day anyway. As I said, the touch-up paint came out fabulous, so I'm really excited about that. And if I get back out tomorrow, I'll actually start a separate video, I think, because I am ready to put the dash together. The only external thing I have at this point on the truck that I can remember offhand is the license plate lights. And I've actually misplaced them at the moment. I know I bought some, but I'll find them. So anyway, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Okay, you didn't really think I was going to leave you without this, did you? I mean, I had to look for leaks anyway, right? Let's see, are we leaking oil? I don't see any. That might not have been enough to get the oil warm. All right, until the next one for real this time. Bye.